Hey guys, my name is Peter, and today I'm going to show you guys a skeletal wyvern guide for melee. I know there's quite a few of them out there because these became really popular, but some people were asking me to make one, so I figured I'd oblige them. I just got back from a trip that took about 20 minutes, and I got about 20 kills. I'm pretty sure it was 20, 21 or 22, because I got a couple coin drops, but this is the inventory that I got. Obviously, I buried some of the bones to free up space for other drops, or if I didn't eat enough food to bother. And obviously I didn't get the SGS, but the rest of it is about 300k, which in 20 minutes is pretty good. So I will bank all this and show you guys the I'm gonna do the inventory, and then while I'm on my way back there, I'll talk about the gear because it's there's a lot of variation you can take on the gear. So I'll move those around later. So you're going to want, if you have it, bring an SGS. If not, don't bother, but you'll see why it's helpful when I get there. You're going to want a superset. They don't need to, actually, I'm not even going to bring full doses. They shouldn't be full doses. 2 or 3 dose, depending on how long your trip lasts, because ideally you want to, if you bring 4 doses, you'll wind up with 2 or 1 dose left. So if you bring 3 or 2 dose, depending on how long your trips last, you can drop the empty vials and free up space to bring back more bones. I would also suggest bringing a prayer potion if you want to flick piety. If you don't want to bother, you don't have to. And the way I get there is I redirect house tabs to Remington. This needs a construction level of, well, 1, so it's no requirement, but yeah. Because that's the first place your house goes, so as long as you have a couple Nightmare Zone points and some house tabs, you can do that. If not, you can either run there or you can take the minigame teleport to pest control, because that will bring you. Where is it? Over here, right? Yeah. So pest control. Once you get off the ship, it'll bring you there, and where you're going is there. Alternatively, the house teleport brings you here, and you can run down there. So it's pretty much just as fast. It's not a huge deal. Also, just to show you, no, you know what? Just you can bring a stamina potion if you want to. I won't, just to show you how far you can get there without a stamina potion. If you drink a stamina potion in the bank and then swap it out for another swordfish, you'll be able to run all the way to wyverns. If you don't, you can pretty much get all the way there anyways, so it's not a huge deal. So that's the inventory. As for the gear, I've pretty much got on max melee gear. Obviously, bandos is not very cheap, so if you can't afford bandos, just wear the best melee armor you have. Some people bring range armor for the magic defense, but it doesn't actually help against their magic attack. So bring the best melee armor you've got. Shield is pretty much the most important thing. You either need a Dragonfire shield, an Elemental shield, or a Mine shield. Those second two you get from the Elemental Workshop quests 1 and 2. You can also buy them from players, but you need to have the quest done to wear them. So if you've done the quest but drop yours, you can go buy another one. Um, Dragonfire Shield is obviously the best. The other two, there's no real difference. This is where we're going to run, by the way. The other two, there's no real difference. The only difference is magic defense, which, as I mentioned, doesn't help against their magic attack. So the difference is negligible. Dragonfire Shield is obviously the best, though, because it gives strength bonus as well as defense against their non-magic attacks. Zerkering, I still haven't bothered re-imbuing it, whatever. So this is where you want to go, to this cave, and then when you try to go in, it'll tell you that it's very dangerous, because if you go in there without the proper shield, you can get hit for 65. So I would strongly suggest against that. This guy's ranging. I'll talk about that. I'm going to make another video on ranging, so I don't really have time to do them both tonight. So, anyways, the rest of your gear, obviously, Zerk Ring, if you have it. If not, Warrior Ring, if not, Ring of Life, I guess, or Ring of Wealth if you really want. Fury or Glory or whatever else other amulet you have. Fire Cape if possible, otherwise just the best cape you've got. Helm, I'm not actually sure if Fighter Hat is better than Nazi Helm because I don't have it. You could also use Warrior Helm for accuracy, but again, like, I don't have one, and I'm not gonna bother going and buying one and doing some extensive testing because I would assume that Nazi Helm is probably better anyways. So as you see, that was a pretty easy kill. These guys are usually a bit more annoying. Oh, I haven't even potted up. Um, so obviously when you get here, use your superset. You can use piety if you want to. You can flick it if you want to. You can leave it on. Unfortunately, they have a 3.0 attack speed and you have 2.4, so you can't sync it up to be able to flick so your attack goes off and theirs goes off at the same time. So you can leave it off, or leave it on, sorry, to keep the defensive bonuses when they attack, but you'll go through a lot more prayer, obviously. This gear has a bit of prayer bonus, but not a lot, so if you leave piety on... I was flicking it for the most of my last trip, and I ran out of prayer pot doses because I didn't get any prayer pot drops, which is something they can drop, which is pretty nice. I'm getting really lucky here, to be honest. These guys usually will go through 1 or 2 swordfish each, but anyways, their drops are pretty good, which is why they're so popular. Wyvern bones are just as good as dragon bones. They give 272 experience regularly and 252 if you burn them on a gilded altar. I want to show you guys why I bring the SGS, but I'm getting too many good drops. And obviously there are other drops. Oh, they also PJ a lot, so like I was just trying to avoid getting attacked by that one while I ate, but that didn't really work because then this guy attacks me. They will go unaggressive eventually, which is why this guy can safely range them without even using the proper shield. But again, I'll talk about that later. You probably will not, unless you've got really high stats, you probably won't manage to stay here long enough for them to unaggress on you. It takes 15 to 20 minutes. And if you, like, if I was up here killing them and they unaggressed and I ran down there for whatever reason, the one that's usually down there would still be aggressive on me. So if you leave basically anywhere, they'll start attacking you again. And you'll see why I bring this SGS once I finally have a bad kill, but this is going really well. If this one doesn't start getting angry at me, maybe I'll just go show you that whenever they do that that attack right there with the blue, that's when they have a chance to freeze you. If they do freeze you, unlike freezes from ancient magics, you can't attack or move, which is pretty annoying. So that's yeah. So here I've been frozen, so I can't move and I can't even attack. So this is when the kills get a little bit worse, obviously. So some people will also suggest bringing a Hasta because it has Crush. It's not actually better because its Crush accuracy is about 20 less than Whip's. And so even though they might be weaker to Crush, which means you have a higher chance of hitting them, you have actually a lower chance because the base accuracy is lower. I'm not really sure how to better explain that, but anyways, I'm going to go out here and show you what you do with your SGS. You obviously don't use it on these guys because, as I mentioned, they can hit you for a 65. But you can go out here, turn on the spec, make sure you turn on Piety, and you hit these guys because they have pretty low defense, and as you can see, you can hit pretty high. So I just got like 35 health back, which is basically another 2.5 swordfish. It also restores your prayer, which obviously helps. You do have to be careful though, because once you run back in, like make sure you don't do that during combat with one, because when you run back in, chances are a different one will attack you, and then you'll have to start all over. And it's really hard if you've like half killed one and then run out there or get PJ'd by another one to actually get the one that you already had back, because as you can see, when I kill this one or that guy can both attack me, and makes it a little bit difficult. I don't even remember which one it was. It was probably that one because he's really out of position. Anyways, this is pretty much it. You just sit here. You can flick Piety. Keep an eye on your stats. When they get lower, you can pot back up, obviously. There's not much more to it. The only thing that other guides haven't mentioned really is the SGS swap, which I like. Some people will bring a D mace because, as I mentioned before, these guys are weak to crush, and the spec can hit in the 50s, so that's it helps for the damage, but it's not that accurate. And I find that getting 2 specs was like 2.5 extra swordfish. You get a spec back every you get full spec in 5 minutes, so you can use 1 SGS spec every 2.5. So in a 20-minute trip, that'd be 8 more specs, which is roughly like 8 more swordfish. You can actually get, like I've hit, last trip I hit a 62 SGS spec out there, which was really nice. So I would strongly suggest bringing it over a D-Mace. Some people will say, oh, well, it's too much work to go out there and spec those guys. Well, if you want to be like that, go for it. But I personally like bringing the SGS. I don't come here very often. I've come here often enough to get it busy, but that's I've only done like 600 kills or so, so I'm not like an expert, but from my own experience, I'd say that the SGS is better than the D-Mace, because the D-Mace, even though they're weak to crush, like, similar to the Hasta, it has a low base accuracy. So there's still oh, so there's some prayer pots, which means that I could leave piety on for the rest of this trip. So it does have a low base accuracy, so even though they're weak to crush, it'll probably still hit less than your whip. However, I have been hitting pretty decently this trip, to be honest. I haven't actually come here since I maxed. Actually, that's not true. When I got my Vizzy, I came here and I was maxed. I came here to get some drops for the drop party, thinking that because most of their drops, like 200 iron ore, like some Randar seeds, adamant bars, whatever. That's the kind of stuff that I would drop because people would want it, and it doesn't sell for a whole lot. And I mean, if I was going to sell iron ore and addy bars, I'd probably go to Merchers anyways. So I was just gonna come here and get some drops, and on my very first trip, since I stopped coming here before, I managed to get a Vizzy drop, which made my friends a little upset because that is my fourth. But they got a few extra drops. I was a bit more generous because of that. So, anyways, that's pretty much it. I will finish this trip, and then I will record a video on their drops and tell you what the prices are as usual. So stay tuned for that. So I finished another trip. This inventory is about 300k as well, so that's pretty good. I got the battle staff drops or NR seeds. They're really good drops. But yeah, it didn't last quite as long as the other trip because I didn't get any lobster drops, but I did get quite a few prayer pot drops, so I could leave piety on, which was pretty nice. Anyways, onto the individual drops. As I mentioned, wyvern bones are the same as dragon bones, except for the name, so they're worth about the same as dragon bones. I think they're like 1.7k right now. All these rune items you can pretty much alch, so that's 7.5, 25, 25, 40, 21. Earth Battle Staff is about 9.3. Dragon Plate Skirt, you might as well just alch. It doesn't sell for much higher than alch value, which is 162k. Dragon Plate Legs people will buy for maybe 190. I sold a pair for like 200, but that was quite a while ago. Granite Legs, you can out them for 40k. Nobody really buys them because they're rare but not good, and they're not even that rare anymore because even though it's a 1 in 512, a lot of people are at wyverns now, so they crashed really hard. I got one the day that they changed the drops. I went to try them out, and I got Granite Legs drop, which I sold for 600k, and about 3 days later, people were selling for like 50 to 60k, so I got pretty lucky, but they're not worth a whole lot. Pure Essence noted, which is nice. Obviously, you wouldn't want to bank all 250 if they weren't noted. It's about 30 each. That's about 7k. This is about 1 maybe. It's a 1k drop, 8k drop, 9, 7.5, 6, and 8. They're pretty generous quantities, and they stack obviously, which is nice. The bolts can range pretty heavily. But when I got Runite bolt drops, I got 3 the first trip, and all 3 added up to 115 or so, so they were all in the 30s, which was nice. I don't think I've ever gotten any below 20, but as I mentioned, I haven't done wyverns as much as some people. And Addy bolts, I got 1 drop, it was like 80, so I guess I got pretty lucky there. Addy bolts are about 180 each. Runite bolts crashed from 1k down to like 150, and now they're back to 250 to 300, I think, so hopefully they're going to go back to a reasonable price, but if you want to buy Runite bolts now would be a pretty good time to do so. Rune arrows are like 120 to 130 each, I think, so that's not a bad drop either. That's about 4k. Randar seeds, if you sell them, it's about 70 to 75k, I think. If you farm them, you'll probably make more. Not everybody likes farming, but I would strongly suggest farming them. Same with snap seeds. They're about 30k. I bought a bunch today for 30k. But again, I would suggest farming them because you'll make more money. Coins, their worst drop, besides nothing, I guess. Magic Log's about a 40k drop. Addy Bars is about 22. Prayer Pots, again, they can make your trip last a bit longer, but without food, they won't help that much. So, they can let you get another good drop or 2, but minimum they're like 18k, because I think they're about 9k each, maybe a bit more. Battle Staffs are about 8k each. They can't really change too much, because people use them to put orbs on, and then alch, and they alch for 9.3, and orbs are like 1.3 to 1.5, so if they go any lower, basically everybody would buy battle staffs, and that's why, and then there'd be way too many, so they can't go any lower and they can't go any higher because you can buy them from shops for like 7.5, but people are too lazy buy them in such short supply. So I think it's like 5 per shop, so you have to hop a lot. But they're pretty stable, so they're not going to go up or down anytime soon. Herbs, it can drop any herb, so that can range from a 0 GP drop to like 20k. Lobsters, not necessarily a good drop in terms of coins, but it'll let you get another drop or two, which will almost certainly be better than lobsters in terms of coins. Orbs, people buy them for like 150. I made about 10k and sold them for like 20 or 220 each. So depending on if you want to sell them to a merchant or not, you can probably get like 20k out of that. Iron ore is about 40 or 50, I think, so that's like 8 to 10k. Rubies are about 1k each, so that's about 10k. Diamonds are like 4k each, so that's 20. Rune, Sibo, you can usually just sell. Like, I don't think those are even listed on Sybez. Last time I got one, they weren't, because I don't think anything dropped besides wyverns. It's a pretty random drop. Basically, just find somebody that is buying runite limbs, and you can probably throw one of these in for the same price, which is like 12k. Or else find somebody that will turn it into a rune crossbow for you, and you can sell those for like up to 20, I think. Elites, obviously, they're an elite clue scroll. Pretty rare, but considering they're a non-boss, it's not too bad. And Vizzy, obviously, 1 in 10k, as with everything except for KBD. Pretty hard to get. I was lucky enough to get one in less than 600 kills, but chances are you won't be that lucky, so don't come here just for Vizzies, but most of their other drops are pretty reasonable. Like I said, I got like about 20 kills each trip, and I got about 300k, so about 15k a kill. I was killing them pretty well, but I have max stats, so you might, and max gear, so you might not get quite as lucky. But overall, they're a pretty good money-making method. One thing that I did forget to mention that I will probably add in at the start of the video with an annotation or something, you do need 72 Slayer to kill them, which is a bit of a deterrent, but if you have high combat stats, you probably have high Slayer anyways. So, as I mentioned before, I believe I'll do a range guide on them within the next couple days whenever I have time, but I've been procrastinating this melee guide for quite a while, so I figured it was about time to put it out. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.